Hello everyone, welcome back. In this episode of Bitcoin Trade, I'm just going to go over a quick chart analysis. It hasn't really done much here. As you can see, it's been going down, and then the way things are looking now, I mean, it just seems like it just goes down, and once you see a trend going up, it tends to go up, but not as quite as high as the previous high, but not as quite as low as the previous low right here. So you see that it's just zigzagging into a triangle. Now, whether it's going to break out or break down, we'll just have to see, or it could go just sideways for a very long time. Now, I haven't done any of the typical chart analysis that I've been doing, mainly because I've just realized I could just get a quick snapshot, an idea, just by looking at the prices alone, and other information that I gather intelligence on my own personal trades. All right, so I'm getting some information that way, so I kind of have an idea of the market pulse, I guess, what's going out there. But I'm a little biased because I'm so long, I'm so big and long on Bitcoin that of course I'm going to say it's going to go up, but even if it went down, I mean, I just see it as an opportunity to buy more Bitcoins. Now, you're probably wondering, like, why would I do that? Well, if you understood what Bitcoin is and how it works, you understand by reinvesting, you're actually increasing the amount of Bitcoins that you can possibly get. So that's kind of why. Any long-term investor or trader knows if you just reinvest the gains that you have, you constantly reinvest, you'll be doing one of two things. You'll be adding liquidity, of course, the way Bitcoin works. Second is you're adding to the movement in price, and overall you are increasing the value of Bitcoins. So, and that is my overall goal, because I have a stake in this, a nice juicy stake. But you know what I mean. I have a stake in it. So, you can all own a Bitcoin. There shouldn't be anything stopping you from owning a Bitcoin. What you do with it is up to you. For me, I'm using it to create my virtual reality, or work on. I'm actually always creating my virtual reality. What I really want to do is I want to make my virtual reality real. I want to pull it out of virtual reality and bring it into this world. Of course, if you've been watching my recent episodes, you would know that I'm learning that this is very real. This is very, very real. It's not a video game. It's not my imagination. I'm maybe not that crazy. I'm probably not that crazy. But people may tell you you're crazy, or just don't know what to think. They have no idea. And I don't know if they'll ever believe. If they'll ever believe, until the day comes when I pull that reality out, and I make it physical. I make it real. But even then, I have a feeling non-believers won't even believe their eyes. They can't even believe their own sensory modalities, I guess. They can't believe their eyes. They can't believe their ears. If they went out and they actually touched my virtual reality, they couldn't believe their hands, their senses. They just refused to believe. And that's okay. it's a different world. It's a new world order. It's the new age, and it's here. It's real. It's already started before I even got here. So, anyways, I'm gonna do just a quick chart analysis from what I've seen here. And again, I'm on Coinbase, and it's a higher price on Coinbase than any of the. Let me see if this gets okay. Any of the, excuse me, exchanges, Bitstamp, Bitsy, Bitfin, even the Chinese exchange. So again, that tells me that there's demand in the U.S., potential pent-up demand in the U.S. And seeing how a lot of Bitcoins are traded in U.S. dollars, that's pretty big pent-up demand. Now, we're already in midsummer. As fall and winter comes, I don't know how it's going to react. I hear rumors about U.S. exchanges. I just hear a lot of things happening, but I don't really see them happening. They're not. I haven't seen anything done yet here in the U.S. I know there's a lot of people who trade. I know a lot of people who buy, who sell, who use, and how is that going to relate to the chart analysis right here? Well, I would assume that the price would go up in value. But again, just because I think it's going to go up does not mean it will go up. Only time will tell. So anyways, that's just my quick chart analysis here. Probably doesn't help anybody, does it? But sorry if there's no lines and anything. I'm just trying to give people a different perspective other than lines. By now, if you've seen my episodes, if you haven't, go back to it, to the beginning, whatever. You could just follow how I set up my lines, and then by then you should be able to set up your own lines and kind of make your own decision. So in this episode here, I'm gonna get a little bit more into virtual reality, okay? Because this is, and I don't know, this is just my experience, but when I deal and trade in Bitcoin, I literally enter into my virtual reality when this happens, and it occurs, it happens. When I'm done, I come out of virtual reality. My virtual entity leaves virtual reality and comes back into my body, if that makes sense. And I'm back in this world. So it's a very strange experience. It's a weird experience. If anything, this whole experience, this is the only way I can explain my experience, is talking about virtual reality, because this is a virtual currency. How do you deal with a virtual currency other than to enter into Bitcoinia? I'll call it Bitcoinia. Anyways, whatever it is. So let's just talk about this here. Oh, sorry. I'll pull out here. So let's just talk about this book, Get Real, okay? And man, if you can find it in a bookstore, used bookstore, $1.99, it's not a bad price. So here I am. I've read through half of this book, and some of it I don't understand. Like, the guy just gets out there. Some of it makes a lot of sense. Now, you got to remember, this book was written before 2000. Probably really, or at least published before 2000. So the book was really written back in the late 90s, probably. Maybe even 90s. Anyways, towards the back, I only read half of it, but what makes this interesting is that this was written, and it just goes to show how much things have happened since, I would say, late 90s, early 2000s to now. We're almost at, we're at 2014. We're at almost near 2015. And so if you start at 2000 and then go to 2015, a lot of what it's in this book addresses that. I'll give you an example about teleoperation. Now in the book, so far from what I read, they're talking about having sex, reproduction, stuff like that. But I'll give you a really easy example of some of what these ideas have come into fruition. And one of those is, and I would say this is a really great example of virtual reality that is real. It's real. And you may not have thought about it this way, but this could be the future of how things are done. Okay? One of those would be like drones. Now, you probably already said, well, duh, but you have to think, having drones fly around, and I'm talking about those drones that fly around and then have missiles and shoot at people. That's virtual reality. You've entered into a virtual reality, and on the end of that virtual reality is a real plane with a real missile, right? And so a pilot enters into virtual reality. The simulation, everything's there. The visual aspect may not quite be there, but it works. And on the other end of that virtual reality comes, as you enter in virtual reality, there's a robot, a machine, an android, so to speak, on the other side, receiving your message, and vice versa, sending and messaging back to you, and you're receiving through probably visual, mostly visual. I don't know if you have any feel for the joystick or not, but that is virtual reality. Come to real life, just like this gentleman was talking about. So you have to ask yourself, what's real? What's illusion? It's kind of weird to think about it that way. But anyways, what I've done is there's this thing about the author, and apparently Allentown, Pennsylvania, and has an email. So what I did is I simply just emailed, and I asked if I can have an interview, since this is a documentary, so to speak. And I really like to ask, since he's written this book, and if he's still alive, let me see if this guy's still alive. He may or may not be. He may be dead. You never know. But apparently, 1957, so that would make him 60, 70. I mean, it's 60, 40. Yeah, 60. Maybe about 60. 60, right? 50 something. Maybe 50 something. Well, he's in his 50s or 60s. I mean, it's possible this gentleman could still be alive. So, by the time he wrote this, obviously he was alive. But I don't know about now. So, I like to have an interview in which I would ask, what he's written, and specifically, I like to know what he thinks about Bitcoin, but how a lot of the things have come to become real. It was just an idea, a thought, a theory, whatever, mental experiment. But now that time has passed long enough for a new generation, new technology. You got to think about by the time he wrote this book, and by now, which is 2014, you're looking at a whole new generation that basically have grown up in virtual reality. Now you're probably thinking, well, that's ridiculous. My kids have not put on any goggles or a suit of any kind to do this thing. This is absurd. Well, you got to look at what's out there. You're looking at games where you don't need a suit. They react to your body. They react to your movements. The graphics are much more realistic. The sounds are realistic. If you want to be immersed, you could put on some of those glasses, those Oculus Rift things. But most importantly, they're immersed in this. Well, not the website, but I'm saying they're immersed in technology, digital technology. This thing over here as well. This as well, even your TV, and some of them. There's a whole new generation of people going to college online. There's a whole new generation of people are getting their whatever online, their training online, their education online. They communicate online, and so you got a whole generation that is experiencing what I believe this gentleman is talking about, and I'd like to get his perspective on what he thinks now that most of the technology is here. That's if he's still alive. We'll see if he answers. Maybe not. It'd be interesting to talk to him. And I actually want to get this signed. One of my other kind of hobbies, I haven't done this in a long time, but one of my other hobbies was to buy books that I'm interested in, and get them signed by the author. And I guess I'd like to do that with this. I have several books like that. Believe it or not, one of those books is, gosh, I forgot the name, but anyways, maybe I'll save that for another episode. So, that's kind of what I'm doing now. It's this episode's more of a, I'll give you a quick chart analysis, but I'm really going to go out and go into the physical world. I think it's time for me to come out of my virtual reality. I've been in my virtual reality for quite some time, but it's time for me to bring this out. For me to bring out my virtual reality. So in order for me to do that, I have to come out to reality. I have to come out and figure out how I can do that. So I guess some of my future episodes won't be so much you'll be looking at this anymore. I mean, I'll still be doing that, but I'm gonna also go out into the real world, which is another form of virtual reality. And I guess you're gonna have a first person view perspective of some things I do, and hopefully I guess you'll get something out of it. You may get nothing. I don't know. But let me talk a little bit about the book. That's what I originally wanted to talk about, was this whole notion, this whole idea that you can co-create. I definitely believe there's a co-creation going on, and not only can you co-create, but you can recreate your virtual reality, or better yet, you can recreate. Let me see here. You can recreate your reality. Okay, how can I say this? It's so weird to think about it this way, that you enter in virtual reality, and in that virtual reality, you're able to do something you may not be able to do in the physical world. If you know, depends how restrictive your country is, how oppressive your country. Um, but at least in your virtual reality, you have absolute free will, so you can create anything. You can create a world where, um, I don't know, like, uh, uh, let me see, what's an example? Well, you can create a world where bitcoins can be traded freely for whatever you want to trade, you can do it. Or you know, I don't know, whatever it is you want. I mean, I know what I want, so that's what I'm doing. So whatever it is you want to recreate, whatever you want to do, you can create that in your virtual reality. Now the question is, how do you, from virtual reality, make it into reality? So this book kind of explains a little bit about that, but what really made it more interesting was that, well, how do we know that this reality is not virtual either? And are we able to create virtual realities within virtual realities to infinity? And you know, that's what I'm into. I'm into infinity. Um, you know, like I feel about bitcoins. Bitcoins will go to infinity. Well, your virtual reality can also go to infinity. Matter of fact, you can have multiple virtual realities, and the interesting part is you can you can you can be in all of them at the same time. You can be in one of them at you know, one or all of them. You can come in and out of each and every one. You can combine them. You can separate them. You can do so many things, so many ridiculous things in your virtual reality. But here's the weird part. You're probably asking, how do you make it real? Well, there is no difference between virtual reality and reality. They're almost one and the same. And as you live out your virtual reality, you take that with you when you come back to reality. And instead of living a virtual reality, you are actually living reality. You've altered reality in some way, or recreated reality in the way you see fit. And so that's very interesting for me, because you know, I never realized that until I started trading in bitcoins, because I've never understood that concept of virtual reality until I started dealing in a virtual currency, and how I can go back into reality and back into virtual, back into reality, back into virtual, and in different scenarios too. So I would have to say, if in order to make your virtual reality real, you have to act in the real world and bring it to reality. So just going into virtual reality is not good enough. You definitely have to come out and you have to act in this world to bring forth your virtual reality. So, anyways, I'll try to get into that a little bit later on, maybe on a different episode. But like I said, that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to attempt to come out of my virtual reality and bring some of that, or some of the things that I want to do, into the real world. So that's why I got to go out into the real world now. So you may not see any more or much of the chart analysis like this anymore. You're probably going to see more of the outside world. And is it real? I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. if this seems like your virtual reality, maybe it's not a virtual anymore. Maybe it is real. So, anyways, um, I'll, I'll I'll end it on this. So I think I talked long enough, but uh, I highly recommend at least reading it. A lot of it doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, but some of it is very weird because it's like as I'm reading this, I'm going, wow, some of this stuff I'm going through right now, it's just so bizarre. And this is written such, I was not a long time ago, but of course, no one's going to write about virtual reality because that concept really hasn't formed until recent, without the advent of the internet, technology, all the stuff that is coming right now. So, anyways, uh, comment. Feel free to comment, like, dislike, even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye now.